The next speaker is Honorable Malema.
Thanks, Chairperson. Mr. Paul Ossulivan, you have admitted to have received money from DSO, right?
Correct.
And therefore, these documents that are presented before you are not in any way suggesting that they might be fraudulent. They're just confirming exactly what you have confirmed, that you have received money.
Well, I've never seen the documents before, but the document would appear to me, if I recall correctly, the amount that was paid to me at the time was 100,000 Rand, not 1 million Rand.
The question was not, have you seen the document before? The question was, what is reflected on this document is exactly what you have experienced in your account.
Yeah, but not the 1 million.
Why? No,
100,000.
no one has said 1 million. 1 million,
says
the person was trying to.
It says 1 million.
No. There's no one who says 1 million.
The document says.
No, the document doesn't say 1 million.
It does.
If you look at the printed
Yes.
statement, it says 100,000.
Correct.
Yes,
Yes.
that's what it's saying.
Yes.
So to try and delegitimize what looks like a legitimate document is unacceptable.
I'm not trying to.
Not you, I'm just saying, following up to what was the impression that was created here, that this might not be correct figures. Why were they giving you money?
As I've said to you, they were refunding some of the expenses I'd incurred.
There's nowhere the written refund. There's no way. The first document says a request for an advance from the DSO confidential funds.
I haven't seen that document.
Have they not shared the document with you here?
That's all I've got, just that. I've not seen anything else.
Yeah, there is a document here from Scorpions
I've not seen
that says
I've only seen it.
they're giving you advance.
I've not seen it.
And there's two documents. The one says request for an advance from the DSO confidential funds. And then the other one says application for reward, Paul Ossulivan.
I've not seen it.
Nowhere do they suggest that you are being refunded for anything.
Thank you.
So in a way, you are part of these people who have been benefiting from this slush fund.
Chairman, that allegation was made earlier. The slush fund I was talking about was the Crime Intelligence Slush Fund. Any payment that's made by the NPA or the DSO is not being made from the Crime Intelligence Slush Fund.
No, it's the same thing, Chief. It's the money that they don't account for. The DSO confidential fund.
Oh, I know nothing
It's
about
police.
This is
Police money.
This is the first
Government
time,
money. It's the public money.
This is the first time I'm seeing this document. And in fact, what they did internally, I don't know about it. I just know that they made a contribution to some of the massive expenses I'd incurred in respect of investigations that I carried out in relation to the two projects. The one was called Project Coffee, and the other one was called Project Bad Guys.
Yeah, it's written here, Project Bad Guys, brackets, coffee.
Yeah, were
Coffee leg.
two projects. And it related to international drug smuggling syndicate with tentacles around the world. And this is not a reward. It says here it's a reward for information, but I'd never seen this document before. It wasn't a reward for information. It was refunding of expenses or partial refunding of expenses.
It makes the situation worse, Mr. Paul Ossulivan, because it means the money was released under false pretext.
Well, I know nothing about that.
Because if it says a reward and you call it a refund, it means whoever went to apply for this money lied
I don't know.
that you are being rewarded.
I've only seen the document today for the first time. But it lists a number of names and people that went to prison. So, yeah, I'm seeing it for the first time today.
Okay, let's leave that one. At least we confirm that you have received the money. We're just not finding each other about why you received the money. I just want you to assist the committee in relation to your professional background. So, did you complete O level or A level?
O level and one A level.
One A level.
Yeah.
What that is equivalent to what in South African terms?
I don't know how you equate it. I suppose it would be something like a matric.
So you've got metric.
They don't have a matric.
No, I'm saying it doesn't matter what they call
I
it
think
there.
it would be called the equivalent of a matric.
You've got an equivalent of metric.
Correct.
From there, which post-metric or post-A1 level did you go to?
So
University or technicon or anything of that
I
sort?
went to a technicon, but I'm not prepared to discuss my educational background.
Which one?
I said I went to a technicon, but I'm not prepared to discuss my educational background. I made that clear. And
No,
the
you're going
reason-
to have to discuss your educational background because you took our money. We hired you
No, you
at
didn't.
AXA.
I
At
didn't-
AXA. No, 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 no.
take
That's
the
our
money.
money.
Okay.
You only get that money if you have reached certain particular qualifications. So we want to see if you received that money legitimately.
Which money?
AXA, you worked for AXA, they were paying you a salary.
They paid a salary
Yeah.
and I gave them a good return on that money.
No, no, it doesn't matter. Did you get any tertiary qualifications?
Yeah, I did.
Which is what?
I'm not prepared to discuss it.
But I want to check if you're qualified.
You go ahead and check.
No, no, I want to check with you if you are qualified to be head of aviation security.
Well, then you should perhaps speak to
And if you look at the report of the 2002, there is no even such a structure in the organogram of AXA. In the report of AXA, there is nothing called group aviation security, group heads aviation security. You are the only person who's using that concept. No one at AXA is using that concept. Even the advert, there were 2 adverts that year which were taken out. None of those adverts say group head aviation security. They say aviation security.
So I think, I don't know where you're getting your information from, but I think it's defective. I'd like to refer you to a page in the annexes. Come to the page number now. I'd like you to refer to page 62.
Yeah.
And page 63.
Yeah.
And page 64. So on page 62, it's addressed to Mr. Paul O'Sullivan, Director, Executive Group Security. Page 63, it's addressed to Mr. Paul O'Sullivan, Group Executive Security. On the Business News or Engineering News article, which is page 64, if you look at the second paragraph or the third paragraph on the left-hand side, it says, according to AXA Group Executive Aviation Security, Paul O'Sullivan, this is substantially more than was likely to be allocated had the 2001 terrorism attacks not occurred. And it talks about 150 or 140 million rand budget to improve security. So perhaps those 3 references would indicate that there is in fact a position called Group Executive Aviation Security.
No, the 2 heading don't speak to that.
Pardon me?
The 2 heads, the 2 things that you referred me to under Mr. Paul O'Sullivan, Director, Executive Group Security. That's number 1. Number 2, Mr. Paul O'Sullivan, Group Executive Security.
Correct.
There is nowhere where they call you Group Head Aviation Security.
So that my job title was Group Executive Aviation Security. So if you look at the page 64, on the third paragraph on the left-hand side, it says, according to AXA Group Executive Aviation Security, Paul O'Sullivan. So
No. That's what you call yourself. That's not what your employer calls you. I mean, this is an article. What you are referring me, it's an article of a newspaper, and that's how you would have said, this is how they must address you. But where you are being addressed officially in the letter of the institution, it says Director Executive Group Security. Then the second one, it says Group Executive Security. Nowhere do they refer to you as Group Head Aviation Security.
So those people wrote what they thought was my position. My position at the time and my contract of employment was Group Executive Aviation Security.
No, Mr. Paul, I'm saying to you, even the advert that was advertising that position did not write Group Aviation Security. It wrote Head Security.
It's 25 years ago.
Yes, then you arrived there and gave yourself a title that is non-existent.
No, that's not
Because
true.
it's not there in the gonogram of the institution. There's no such a position. In their report, if you go and read
Which
their
report?
2001 annual report, which will probably be published in 2002. If you go and check that report, you will realize that there's no such a position in that structure.
Chairman,
But let's pass that.
I'm just making the point that I was employed at AXA and I was employed in the position of Group Executive Aviation Security.
But say, I'm going to have a problem because you cannot refuse to tell me what are your tertiary qualifications, yet you occupy a head aviation security position, which it's equivalent now, as if you look at the adverts this year, they require master's degree and some 5 years experience. So I could imagine during your time, there's no way, even the one that I'm referring you to, it says it requires a degree or an equivalent. That's why I want to check your qualification to match it with the requirements so that I can make a determination that you are indeed employed through your qualifications.
And am I correct in thinking, Chairman, that that's in the terms of reference of this committee to look into the qualifications of a civilian that has nothing to do with it?
It has got everything to do
We're
with.
going back, no. We're going back more than 20 years. Okay, and my qualifications were obtained 40 years ago. So I am not going to get into a debate. I have rights, and my rights include the right to privacy. And you would know from the Constitution. And my right to privacy, I will maintain. And you can dig into my right to privacy if you want. I'm here voluntarily, and I'm not going to submit myself to providing information which I believe you're not entitled to. So you can repeatedly ask for it, and you can make all the assertions you wish, but I'm not supplying you.
You
with
know
my
why
private
you're
information.
making this a big issue is because you lied yesterday and told us about a technicon that is non-existent.
Oh, really?
It's not there. You did. You told us that you went to some Manchester engineer or something. The chair can confirm that.
Okay.
You said that yesterday that you went to Manchester Technicon or something. And then when we went to research that institution, you said you went to a training in engineering. We did not find such an institution existing.
Yeah, okay.
So, Mr. Paul Ossulivan, you occupied a senior position without qualifying because you had infiltrated the system.
If you believe that.
And
But you're right.
part of our investigation, the reason why we go to qualifications is we want to demonstrate that these people they don't have the necessary skills, yet they occupy strategic positions because of their proximity
In the police.
to those, not in the police.
But aren't we supposed to be looking, Chairman, at the allegations from the KZN Commissioner of Police, and instead you're now diverting? So what you've actually done, Chairman, is you first of all invite me here, I come here, And now what you're doing is you're trying to impugn my character, and you've been doing it for the last 5 hours. And, you know, I'm
No,
not,
no, no, no.
I'm not going to cooperate with that.
No. You're going to cooperate. Look,
No, I'm sorry,
you
but
went,
won't
you
tell me
went,
what I'll
you went
cooperate with.
to, you went to mess up our IPID and our justice system, our criminal justice system. We're trying to establish as to who is this person who is alleged to have done the following in the institutions that we're investigating. It is in that context that we're asking you about yourself. And it shouldn't be difficult for a person who has taken an oath to tell the truth, but nothing else but the truth, that I went to school and this is why. I'm not asking you whether you passed with this higher degree or not. I'm just asking, where did you obtain your qualifications? Because yesterday you told us about a different technicon that is not a Manchester technicon.
Okay,
And then you are doing engineering.
you get the transcript of yesterday. and
Now
I think
today-
you'll find your mistake. And
Chair, can you please intervene and perhaps remind him of what he said?
Mr. Paul Robert Ossulivan, you went to Manchester Technical.
No, I
you-
said I
and
studied
you-
at Manchester, and somebody
you-
said, is it a technicon?
If you listen to me, so
Okay,
that
sorry,
you know what you are going to respond to. You went to Manchester Technicon and you obtained a higher certificate in electronics. That is the evidence that you deposed here
Yes,
yesterday.
that's correct, and that is
Yes.
correct.
Okay.
But it's absolutely not called Manchester Technicon, but, you know, somebody said, is it a Technicon? And I said, yes, but it's not. But anyway,
You see, you are now changing that, now that you are no longer prepared to talk about your qualifications. But I just demonstrated to you, you spoke about your qualifications yesterday. And you were not qualified to be employed as head of anything at AXA because you didn't possess the necessary qualifications. Number two, which I want to ask is, after you went to, is it the military intelligence, did you work anywhere else except when you left the military intelligence?
did I work anywhere? What?
Did you work anywhere after you left military intelligence?
Yes, I did.
Where?
I'm not telling you
Why?
because it's none of your business.
It's none of my business. So, okay, that's fine. You don't have an answer. And I know you don't have an answer because the question after that was going to be, where did you get the money to invest in the property investment? Because you were just from school, went to military intelligence, and then the next thing you come to South Africa for tourism, you love the place, then come back to South Africa to invest in property development, and not only in South Africa, but in different kind of countries. Where do you get that money from? Because military intelligence will not have given you such pensions.
No, pension, I don't get a pension at the age of 26 or 27.
That's what I'm saying.
I did-
Where did you
I
get the
did
money
Property
to,
development, and I made profit.
where did you get the money to invest in the property development?
The first development I did, I borrowed the money from the bank and I made it a profit. And I reinvested that profit in another property. And I made a profit there. And I reinvested that in another property and I made a profit there. So that's how property development works.
No, I don't buy that story. Mr. Paul O'Sullivan, property investment is a very expensive investment. My suspicion is that you were given money out of the military intelligence to go and be an investor in different countries to continue saving them, inspiring those countries on their behalf. But you must look like you are an investor.
With respect, Chairman, I think the honorable member has been watching too much TV
Why?
because you're speculating.
You have never worked to get money to qualify to engage in property investment.
How do you know that?
That's what you told me, at least. You went to work at military in intelligence, and then from there you worked in a firm. You can't tell me, because if you tell me that firm, I will be able to evaluate, to check,
No.
and make 1 + 1 to see if we can make such money to invest in property investment.
With all due respect, my property investment activities took place probably when you were still a baby.
Yeah.
But the reality of the situation is, if a person is an entrepreneur and he makes money, how can you then jump into the conclusion that that person is being paid from a government fund or something of that nature? That's pure speculation, and you don't have a shred of evidence. So what you're actually doing is you are making these speculations. It's your idea, and it's wrong.
No.
And I'm just pointing out that you are wrong.
No, my idea is that because I was a baby, and it's not my problem that I was a baby, it is my mother's problem. She gave birth to me at that time. I've got nothing to do with what I was at that time. So because you were an old man, you have to teach me how you came about to become a property investor. You can say I'm formulating it because we've put you there, and we want you to educate us as to how did you become this big property investor from just military intelligence.
I won't say I was a big property developer, but I was a property developer. And when you bring money into South Africa, you convert it from pounds to rand, you get quite a significant amount more rand. And if you look at the property prices overseas, and you look at the property prices here, you can buy more property here for the same amount of money you will buy much less overseas. And I decided to get involved in property development. And if you find that suspicious, it's a problem. And I believe the reason you're finding it suspicious is because you and certain other members of this committee are looking for ways of covering up the criminal conduct of crime intelligence officials and the abuse of the slush fund. And that's why we have people like Pashlani, who's on trial at the moment, getting away with the crimes that they're committing, because Parliament, or certain parts of Parliament, are not exercising their duty of care and their duty to look after the interests of the country.
Mr. Paul Ossulivan, if you know me, I'm not part of the nonsense you're talking about. Not me. I'm not part of any nonsense you're talking about. I'm not part of any slush fund or anything. I question people the same way I'm questioning you, all of them, including Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi. I questioned him because I'm about the truth and nothing else but the truth. And I'm not going to be patronized or be intimidated by anyone, not me. They can try with other people, not me. Okay. So you must never ever group me with people who are involved with some people who are doing wrongdoings in the crime intelligence. If you have been following the proceedings here, you will see that I've taken the same posture with everyone. You are talking about former General Patlani. Is still coming to us. We are not done with him. When his turn comes, we'll attend to it. You are saying you are a certified fraud examiner.
Mm-hmm.
Who certified you?
The Association of Certified Fraud Examiners.
So, association where, here or in the USA?
It's a US. It's based in Austin, in Texas.
So they give you a certificate which you perhaps attached here, which we can make reference to confirm that you are a certified fraud examiner.
Well, if you look at page 73,
yeah.
And if you look at page 67, so page 67 says Association of Certified Fraud Examiners, South Africa chapter number 91, ACFESA, Certified Fraud Examiner of the Year, 2014, was awarded to Paul O'Sullivan for his contribution to the fight against fraud and white-collar crime. And if you look at the page 73, it says again, Association of Certified Fraud Examiners, South Africa chapter, ACFE, hereby awards Paul O'Sullivan with the Certified Fraud Examiner of the Year Award 2022, with all rights and privileges under the bylaws of the ACFE SA chapter.
So what requirements must one have to be admitted into doing this type of qualification?
I'd have to go on the website and have a look because, but you have to take exams, you have to undergo quite a lot of training. Yeah.
So now what I want to understand is that were you expected to have some pre-qualifications before you entered this?
I think so, yeah. You'd have to go on the website and have a look at what the requirements are.
The issue of security clearance, you said to me at that time when you were head of aviation security, the issue of security clearance was not a requirement.
That's correct.
No, but when we look at the necessary act that was applying at the time, that was a requirement.
It became a requirement in 2003.
That was after you left.
No, before I left. It was made a requirement in 2003.
And then when they found you without having the security clearance, what happened at the national key point?
Then I could no longer be the national key point officer, and I could no longer be sitting on the National Aviation Security Committee.
Have you ever been found guilty of a GBV?
What's GBV?
Gender-based violence?
Yes, in 1999, I paid a 500 Rand admission of guilt fine for an alleged assault. And in retrospect, I probably shouldn't have paid the fine, but my lawyer at the time advised me that either there would be a trial or I could just pay the fine and it wouldn't be a criminal record. Unfortunately, I paid the fine. It was made a criminal record, and then it was subsequently, what do they call it? Expunged from the record.
Do you still have your firearm license?
Yes, I do.
Is it not the requirement that when you are found guilty of such a thing, they should withdraw your firearm license?
So there wasn't a trial and I wasn't found guilty. I just paid an admission of guilt fine. It's like if you're driving at 150 kilometers an hour and the speed limit is 120, you get a ticket in the post, and you can either go to court and challenge it, and then you get convicted, and then it will be on your record, or you pay an admission of guilt fine, and then it doesn't appear on your record, although that is now changing, because I think with the new, what do they call it, AARTO Act, even if you pay an admission of guilt fine, now it becomes part of your record. But at that time, it wasn't the case.
Have you ever faced any allegations of sexual misconduct?
No,
There was never an allegation that you were accused of raping an underage girl
definitely
who
not.
was in the Randburg area, who was a
Absolutely
close, who was a daughter of a close friend.
Absolutely not. I mean,
And that will mean you have not even tried to pay any bribe to those parents to.
I've
try-
never had such allegations made, nothing of any nature whatsoever.
What is your relationship with McBride?
Robert McBride, I have no relationship with him.
Professionally?
When he was at IPID, yes.
What required you to work with him at IPID, which makes it difficult to work with him when he's outside IPID?
Because I'm not involved with him now. When he was working at IPID, he was the executive director of IPID.
Mhm.
And he was unlawfully suspended, and he was off work for, I think, 10 or 12 months. And during that period, I opened a criminal docket against General Pashlani. And that was in February, I think February the 16th in 2016. And after I opened that docket, there was no investigation. So for 10 months, there was no investigation by IPID. And because they refused to investigate, I continued gathering evidence myself. But after March, I refused to supply any of that evidence to IPID because they were leaking it to General Pashlani. So at the end of October 2016, the Constitutional Court found that Robert McBride's suspension was unlawful, and he was reinstated. And after he was reinstated, immediately after he was reinstated, I reached out to him and I said, hey, you know, we need to pick this docket up. I opened it 10 months ago and there's been no investigation. And that was my first proper sit down with him to explain what happened on that docket. He then appointed Matthews Sissoko to put a team together, and the head of that
Sorry,
team.
Mr. Ossulivan, there's
Pardon?
a request that you speak to the mic.
Oh, sorry. So he put a team together. Let me just move my chair. He put a team together and the investigation was carried out. And during the process of that investigation, 3 weeks into that investigation, there was a threat to murder myself and to murder Mandla Mashlangu, who was leading that team. And as a result of those threats to murder myself and Mandla Mashlangu, we had further meetings, and it was decided that we needed to find out who these threats were coming from or where they were coming from. And they managed to trace the phone to a police official that worked at OR Tambo, but the police official claimed that he lost his phone the day before the threats were made. So it never got anywhere. And I mean, then what happened, so that was in November, towards the end of November 2016, on about between 10 or 12 or 13 of December, we had a braai. It was a year-end braai. And Mandla Mashlangu was there, Robert McBride was there, Cedric Nkubindi was there. There were 2 other guys, I can't remember their name, from IPID. And I was there. Some of my staff were there. I think 3 or 4 or 5, maybe 6 of my staff were there. And we had a braai, and it was a year-end braai, and that day I was flying overseas. And 3 days after that braai, General Prince Makateri, who was then the unlawfully appointed head of DPCI in Gauteng, leaked a media article through a private investigator by the name of Chad Thomas to the media. And the article alleged that a secret meeting took place instead of a braai, and that the purpose of the secret meeting was to discuss overthrowing the government, and that the persons present at the secret meeting, apart from myself and McBride and others, was the DA and AfriForum and a journalist. Of course, the whole thing was fabricated.
See, I'm being very patient, but my time.
But the media made a big meal of it, a massive meal of it. So I then invited General Makateri to take no, not I. Robert McBride invited General Makateri to take a polygraph test, and he agreed to take the polygraph test. And I said to Robert McBride, he should also take the polygraph test. So he did take the polygraph test. And after he took the polygraph test, which he passed, and the question was, were you at a meeting where you talked about overthrowing the government? And he passed. And the question for Makateri would have been, is this case you opened for allegedly overthrowing the government real or not real? And he refused to take the polygraph test. So that was kind of the end of it.
That's fine. And then Naim Kasim, what is your professional relationship with him?
Naim Kasim, if I go back to, trying to remember the year, either 2011 or 2012, I'm trying to remember the year. Naim Kasim was a client. He came to us. He asked us to carry out an investigation in respect of certain events that had taken place with him. He owned an OK Bazaar in Brits. And he alleged that certain people had threatened him and beaten him, and he had the video evidence and stuff like that. So we sat with him, we interviewed him, and we carried out an investigation.
So he was a client.
He was a client, yeah.
Moti will also be a client.
Today,
Moti is your client.
no, the company, there's a, Zunaid Moti owns a group of companies called the Moti Group. And today,
Now I'm talking Zunaid Moti.
yes, Zunaid Moti is not a client.
It's not your client.
No, but he
You
owns,
don't work for him.
no, he owns a group of companies, and the group of companies are clients of ours.
How many passports do you have?
4?
Yesterday you said 3.
Yeah, so because my passport was running short of pages, I got a second passport. So I have 2 South African passports, 1 Irish passport and 1 British passport.
No, you did an interview, I can't remember, with you in a book where you said you've got 4 passports.
Yes, I have 4 now as well.
Yeah, South Africa, Ireland, Britain, and then the 4th one.
South Africa.
So you have 2 passports of South Africa.
Yes, because when you want to go to a country, you have to have pages in your passport. If your pages run out, you can't enter a country because you need to have so many blank pages. Also, if you want to get a visa to go somewhere in your passport, you have to leave your passport at an embassy.
No, but those are passport books. Passports means passport. As in
Yes, I'm talking passport. You have
the one that is full, it doesn't matter if it's full. I just wanted to know, because when I say how many passports do you have, I mean, which many countries do you belong to?
3.
3.
Yeah.
South Africa, Britain, Ireland.
Correct.
Only.
Yes.
So you have 3 passports, not 4.
Actual
Passports
documents,
mean
I have
you're-
4. I have 2 South African passports, obviously valid.
Thank you so much, honorable members. That time has come to an end. Honorable Mathai.